What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew 2, and in this video I will be going over my top 2 Jetsprint boats on the game here. So it's kind of insane we're already down to the Jetsprint class, guys, but stay tuned for the remainder of the classes in the near future. I would say the touring car class is probably going to be a bit of a challenge now, but nonetheless, though, the Jetsprint boats are probably going to be on the interesting side in the game, mainly because a lot of players are most likely not going to touch these boats unless they absolutely have to. I'm also going to be in that category because if you guys do have the boats maxed out and or have that one chemist set you guys probably want for these and or like a score breaker set, which by the way these boats can actually work on like a buoy smashing skill, I would say a lot of people are most likely not going to really use these boats all that much afterwards. I really don't see a point of like driving around in one of these boats unless you guys really like them and or maybe you might race them in real life or something insane like that, so maybe you do want to use them in the game. I would say a lot of people are most likely going to mess around with like the power boats over these because those are going to be a lot faster but also a lot more fun as well. But anyway, guys, jumping right into my second option here is also going to be kind of funny because it's going to be a starter boat. The Proto Hornet is actually one of my favorite boats in this class way before the other boat actually came out that I prefer to use now. I actually think the Proto Hornet is still going to remain one of my favorite options. Even though the other boat is probably going to be better in a lot of ways, I still find the Hornet to be better than the other boats that are in this class as well. At first, I really didn't think the Proto Hornet was going to be all that good because it was like a starter boat. I do believe this is going to be similar to like the PC-21 in the Aerobatics class where like it's a starter vehicle. And normally you're really not going to expect these to be all that good, guys. But my goodness, the Hornet, I would say took a lot of the summits by surprise because whenever I looked in the leaderboards, it was always going to be this boat for a very long time. And I never really saw the other ones being used like the Sportsman and or the Leopard as well. I basically saw nobody actually use these boats. I was always wondering why no one actually ran them, so I did want to test them out a little bit. And I was honestly not liking how they were driving at all and how they actually turned. I also found them to be kind of struggling in their speed a bit as well, so I immediately jumped back into the Hornet, and my goodness, I can definitely see why so many people ran this boat. It's also going to be one of those jet sprints you probably were not expecting to be as good as it is. I do feel like this class is going to be kind of weird because I just never see anybody actually run the jet sprint boats all that much. I do want to know, guys, by the way, your thoughts on this in the comments below. What are some of the classes in the Crew 2 that you would not like to see in Motorfest and or that you don't really think need to be in the game? I really do want to know what everyone thinks because I would say some of them probably don't need to be like the hovercrafts and honestly in some way like the jet sprints. I know some people were saying like the planes shouldn't be in the game or the boats, but I also would say with the size of the map I would honestly think a lot of people are most likely going to want boats and planes if they were not in the game, so I would definitely say some of them are going to be needed, but some of these classes like the hovercrafts and or the jet sprints, I'm honestly wondering how many people actually want to use these because for one, I do know a lot of people who actually do not have these boats maxed out and or don't really want to max them out. I know my friend actually doesn't even like to use them all that often because he doesn't like the way they drive. I really can't blame you because they're insanely twitchy. And then of course trying to level these jet sprint boats up can also be a bit of a challenge. I was noticing a lot of the events on Ace, specifically like the one that's in Vegas, which is actually a really good race to level these boats up with. I was noticing on Ace some of the AI are insanely fast, and if you mess up at all, or you have like a bad start, you're most likely going to have issues catching up to them. But even with that, guys, I would say the Hornet is going to be a really great option even to this day. And with this being a starter boat, I would say a lot of players have this thing, which is also going to be insanely easy to level up. That way you don't actually have to buy one. And I really do think this boat is going to be great for summits for a lot of players. And then moving over to my top choice is most likely not going to be very shocking to a lot of players. It's going to be the Proto Rocket. After this boat released a long time ago, I was actually really excited to run it. Not only because it was going to be a new jet sprint boat and we only actually had 4 of these boats in the game to begin with, but it also looks so dang awesome as well, guys. So there is going to be one drawback to this boat. I do remember this thing being insanely expensive compared to basically all the other ones. I also do believe the Hornet was like, I think like 50,000 bucks or something like that, and I do believe the Rocket's probably going to be close to like 300,000 bucks. So do keep that in mind if you guys do want to get this boat. It's definitely going to be on the expensive side, which if I had to guess, I would say a lot of people are most likely not going to farm a lot of money to buy a Jetsprint boat. So I definitely can understand where you guys are coming from. 300,000 bucks on something like this is going to be pretty dang expensive. But I really do think this boat is going to be worth every penny, guys, because not only is it going to be the best boat in this class, it's also going to be insanely good for skills if you guys wanted this thing for like buoy smashing. Of course, you're going to need like a score breaker set for that, but I would say farming that's not going to be insanely difficult depending on the race you guys do want to grind for. The main Highland Cave is probably going to be the best overall race I found to grind the Jetsprint boats with. Now, if you guys wanted to, you could also do the one that's in Vegas as well, but to be honest, that race can be kind of annoying, even with a score breaker set and or like a loot digger if you guys do have it. I guess you can also say like a gold set in general, this race can be pretty difficult. I was actually finding this one to be on the more difficult side, even with a Nitrochemist set, so if your vehicle is not maxed out and you are jumping into like this event, it could honestly be kind of annoying to complete it, so I would recommend the main Highlands Cave. I really do think that race is going to be so much better, and if you guys do have the Proto Rocket, it's going to make grinding out these parts sets so much easier because of the boat that you're using. It's also going to make this a lot more fun as well because this boat is going to be so dang good. I was finding this thing to not only be insanely fast, but the handling and stability is probably going to be pretty surprising to someone who has been using like the Sportsman and or like the Leopard. I feel like a lot of people are really going to really love the Rocket, guys. Like, this boat is going to be so much fun to use, and I absolutely love the look of this boat as well compared to the others. I really do feel like this is going to be like the jack of all trades when it comes to the Jetsprint category, mainly because you can actually use the Rocket in like grinding out races and or going after parts and stuff. You can also then jump into like a summit and go off and actually probably get a really good score, and you're most likely going to see the leaderboards covered in the Rocket anyway, so you're most likely going to want to invest in a boat like this, that way you guys can compete. If you guys do not want to buy the Rocket though, you can always get the Hornet. That boat is still easily going to be fast enough to do summits and or like compete and get like a really high score for platinum. I still think the Hornet is still going to remain one of the better Jetsprint boats, but I really do think the Proto Rocket is by far going to take the crown for a long time. I really don't see this boat losing its throne anytime soon, but I can also understand if you guys don't really want to grind out races and stuff in these boats because sometimes they're not going to be that fun. You're also not going to get a ton of parts from the races either, which by the way, most of the Jetsprint events are going to be around 2 minutes and or under 2 minutes. I do think there's a few that are going to be well over 3 minutes as well, but you could probably get more parts from those if you guys do want to grind out those events. Do keep in mind though, some of the events are going to take a while, like a 3-minute race in a Jetsprint boat. It's probably not going to be something a lot of people are going to want to do, but if you guys are searching for the best boats in the Jetsprint category, I would definitely recommend taking a look at the Proto Rocket. This thing is going to have a steep price tag, but I do think it's going to be worth it. But if you guys are looking for something cheaper and or maybe something you might want to use in the meantime, I would definitely recommend the Proto Hornet. That boat is also going to be a lot better than like the Sportsman and or the Leopard, which is kind of funny considering you have to pay more money for those boats. Then you're going to have the Proto Hornet that's basically like one of the cheapest ones. It's also going to be way better than the others, but either way guys, if you are looking for a great overall boat you can run on summits, I would definitely recommend the Proto Rocket, and you can easily run the Proto Hornet as well, so you really can't go wrong with either one. I do want to know what you guys think. Which Jetsprint boat is your favorite in the comments below and why? And I wonder if the Jetsprint class really should be in Motorfest. I also want to know your thoughts on that as well. And here are the settings I'm currently running on the Proto Rocket and the lovely Proto Hornet.